thank you so much for coming to here to Stage Left to Performers Corner to hear us say a few words about our program, which we're very excited about. Violin and Piano Works by William Grant Still. William Grant Still, one of the most significant American composers of the 20th century, and a composer of many firsts. So he was the first American to have an opera produced by the New York City Opera. Until 1950, his first symphony was the most widely performed symphony by an American. He was the first African American to conduct a major U.S. orchestra, and that was with the Los Angeles Philharmonic in 1936 at the Hollywood Bowl in a concert of his own music. And he wrote a lot of large-scale works. So let's see, 9 operas, 5 symphonies. That the first opera that he did with the New York City Opera, that was in collaboration with Langston Hughes, who was the librettist. But among his works are also these pieces for violin and piano, which we're excited to present. I might as well also mention that he attended the Oberlin Conservatory of Music. It would have been in the 19-teens. He was born in 1895. And this is also then what would have been his 125th birthday year. So we're excited doubly to celebrate this music. So we should introduce ourselves as well. So I'm David Bowlin. We're all the violin faculty at the Oberlin Conservatory. And then my colleagues, Sibbi Bernhardsson and Francesca dePasquale. And let's see, maybe we could just start talking about the pieces and have a little chat about what we've been finding. So we're all sort of working on different, but we haven't yet talked about our experiences working on them yet.
Yeah, well, I can start, but first of all, thank you, David, for actually being sort of the brain behind this project. And it's actually such a pleasure to collaborate with, colleagues on doing like a, project like this. And he's such an important composer, obviously, and also the Oberlin connection cannot and should not be overlooked. The piece that I am playing is called Pastorella. And it's about a 12-minute piece, obviously for a violin piano, and I'll be playing that with Haewon song, and I'm looking very much forward to that. He writes in the program notes about this piece that he sought to present a tone picture of the Western landscape, peaceful but exciting. And he also talks about wanting to arouse a feeling of languor in some aspects and also animation in others. So it's a little bit, I feel like this piece is a little bit of a tone poem. And what I really like about this piece, or what I find quite compelling or actually even touching, is that it's so just attractive in sound. And he is also such a good orchestrator. I remember that from his orchestral works. He just knows very well how to write for the instruments. But also he was clearly, because he was a conductor, he was also so used to working with performers that he writes both in sort of the notes to the performer. He's very specific about his metronome markings, because this is the type of music that is just like so rich and so lush and so beautiful that he's probably had experience where like performer starts overindulging. So he is very specific about making sure that there's a certain element of flow always in his music. So it's a wonderfully attractive piece, very varied, and I look forward to performing it.
Thanks for sharing that with us, Sibbi, and I echo your thanks to David for spearheading this project. And it's so exciting to collaborate together as a faculty and bringing our own sort of stamp on each of these works and to celebrate William Grant Still. I will be performing his suite for violin and piano with pianist James Howsmon, which I'm so looking forward to that collaboration. This piece was composed in 1943, and each movement of the suite, there are 3 movements, takes inspiration from sculptures that were created by artists associated with the Harlem Renaissance. So for me, it's been this really fascinating journey of, sort of looking to these sculptures, celebrating that intersection between art and music and how they sort of inform and inspire one another. This piece is unbelievably gorgeous, in particular the second movement, Mother and Child. It's just unbelievably touching and intimate and gorgeous music, and so much so that I believe it's frequently performed almost as a standalone movement, and it's been arranged for other instruments and for chamber orchestra. So it certainly is beautiful in its own right, but it's especially so, I think, when presented alongside these other movements, which incorporate, William Grant Still's language, of course, but that takes inspiration from blues and all sorts of influences associated with the Harlem Renaissance. So I think it's a very colorful piece. It's a very expressive piece, and it's been such a joy to get to know it. So I tremendously am looking forward to performing it.
Excellent. And I'll be rounding out the concert with some short works, which are arrangements largely of other pieces of William Grant Still that are sort of sanctioned by the publisher and the composer. So this is a good time to talk about William Grant Still's relationship with Louis Kaufman, who is the violinist for whom both Pastorella and who premiered both Pastorella and the Suite. And Kaufman also arranged some of these works from larger pieces by Still. So one of them is Blues, which, Francesca, you just alluded to that influence of Still's. This is from Lenox Avenue, which is one of his orchestral suites, Life Along Lenox Avenue, which is one of the major thoroughfares in Harlem. One of the short pieces will be an arrangement of Still's setting of Here's One, the spiritual. And probably, I have to say, my favorite among these short pieces is Summerland, which is originally from the middle movement of his piano suite, Three Visions. And yeah, this piece is just, the harmonies are just lush and beautiful and unexpected, and it's a very special work. So yeah, I think that sort of rounds out the program. It will be on October 30th at 7:30. You probably have that information on the screen somewhere nearby, and we'll hope that you tune in to listen. So thank you so much.